So the connection between Jesus and Buddha has always interested me. The rumors were that Jesus, as a young man, hit the Silk Road and he traveled through northern and southern India, landing in South India, where he studied with the Hindus in the pursuit of answer one question. This question is, why is there suffering in the world? Why is there suffering in people? Basically, why is there suffering in general? Well, here I am outside of Bangkok, Thailand, sweating my face off. But I'm here in a old Buddhist historical site, an ancient site, one of the oldest sites in Thailand, I believe. Don't know too much about this place, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna wing it from stuff I've read. But apparently it was built disputedly in 734 or about 1374. King Bodhiyatcha the First. You know I can't pronounce anything. Thank you, my high school, Lindsay High School. This is a place where obviously there's a rumor that the Buddhist relics are here. The history is very controversial, but probably 1374 is probably an okay date, to somewhere around there. But yeah, it's about an hour outside of Bangkok, hour drive outside of Bangkok. Another account is that it was built in 1388 by another king. I'm not going to try to butcher his name, but here, when he went to battle with Chiang Mai in the north of Thailand, he, on his way back, saw Buddha performing a miracle. So they put a stake in and they created the location. Now, later, people came and found this place, and they claimed that they found relics with Buddha statues, gold Buddha statues, pictures of Buddha, little gold like casket, and some claim that some of Buddha's relics are here, maybe from all the way from India, maybe it's a different Buddha, but really cool place, super old, got these huge pagodas all around. I believe those are pagodas, don't quote me, but absolutely amazing place. So inside the main pagoda, where they believe some relics were hidden, they found some relics, some gold. You can see some of the imagery here, but they found a gold pagoda, some writings, a bunch of treasure. They watched this site. With pressure for Thailand to make this a tourist site, they kind of put a security guard here years ago to watch over the treasure that was sealed. And what do you know? The security guard made a little deal with some looters, and they looted it. They did, however, catch these drunken looters and found all their treasure, and now it's documented. So who knows what else is under here. I believe these things were built to seal things. It's kind of like historic bank, as you will. It's like you can just take your gold somewhere. Everyone wanted it, so why not seal it in a big structure like this that's guarded in the middle of the city. Also, really smells like piss in here. Just gonna throw that out there. Someone's been pissing. So I told myself I was going to come to Thailand for vacation and not make any Mush Monk videos, but being here at this temple, I couldn't help myself. So here's a video, kind of impromptu. So sorry if I don't have the complete history of this place, but yeah, once I saw Buddha, you know, I just had to do my thing. We're gonna walk around, check it out, see what's up. Wasn't gonna make any videos in Thailand, but I couldn't help myself. It's supposed to be a short vacation. I work a lot. I'm a digital marketer, for you that don't know. Do web design, SEO, stuff like that. And I work usually Monday to Saturday, sometimes Sunday, running my own business. Could be hectic, so I thought I'd squeeze in a vacation and just update you. It's been a while since I've been in Turkey, so I thought I'd do a couple videos in Thailand. Hopefully, we'll see. And yeah, I miss you guys, and thanks for watching and subscribe. And the plan after Thailand is to head to possibly Egypt, maybe Iraq, Iran, I don't know. Probably shouldn't say that until I know. But yeah, so I'm gonna keep making videos. Follow me on Instagram at themushmonk, YouTube themushmonk. I do post some photos on YouTube. They have like a new wall thing. I'll start posting shorts and TikToks, just kind of sharing my travels. Amateur historian, not a crazy expert in history, and I get corrected a lot on YouTube, and I appreciate the corrections because I learn. But yeah, just thought I would come here and share a little with you. If you do come here to Wat Mahathat, come early, around 8, 9 o'clock, because the tours do roll in around 10, 11 a.m. So. So let's talk Buddhism. Again, not a Buddhist expert, and I might get some of my stuff wrong. So leave your angry comments below. Like you need me to say that. All right, so I'm drinking a Coke here. And we're gonna talk Buddhism. Seems like a good thing for an American to do. So, King Siddhartha was born a young man in the kingdom. Smiles from the locals, what can you say? The King Siddhartha, he was born to a wealthy family, a king. And when his mom was pregnant, a holy man said, your son will be a king who will grow the empire, or a very wise holy man. The father, in hearing this, said, I think I want him to be a king that expands the empire. So let's keep him inside the walls of the palace. Let's give him everything he wants. Let's keep him away from sadness, suffering, and all the real world stuff outside the kingdom, outside the walls of the palace. So little young King Siddhartha, the future Buddha, was kept in the temple. He had all the women he wanted, all the food he wanted, the greatest flowers and scents around him. Life was bliss for a young King Siddhartha. Well, he got a wife, he had an infant child, and one day he said, you know, I want to leave the walls of the temple. As you would expect a man to be curious about the world around him. So one day he got a chariot with the driver to take him around town. And well, his chariot took him around town, and what did he see? He saw beggars, he saw people dying, he saw poverty, he saw people suffering. And he asked his driver, what is this? They said, oh, that's a person's poor, is begging, he's poor. What is that? So this person's dying on the road, we all die, even you die. He says, what? Even death was foreign to him. Yeah, I don't understand that part either. You think he would have like a grandma or grandpa that died, but I don't know, maybe his dad kept it all from him. I don't know, maybe they pushed out the old people. But anyway, so he found out about suffering. And of course, being in his young adulthood, he was probably shocked. Growing up in a world where he had every luxury at his hand, like a rich kid. He was a rich kid. And, oh, look behind me. Oh, look how beautiful that is. Ooh. Let's go over there. So after learning about this suffering, young Buddha went back home and he contemplated. He was obviously disturbed, as anyone would be that just learned about suffering in the world. We're usually gradually born into it. For him, it was just all at once. So late one night, while his wife and infant child were asleep, he said goodbye, didn't wake them, and took off in the pursuit of answer one question. This question is, why is there suffering in the world? Why is there suffering in people? Basically, why is there suffering in general? So this starts King Siddhartha's, the future Buddha's, long journey into becoming enlightened, to becoming Buddha as we know him today. Worldwide, they know Buddha. At this time, there was a lot of gurus, there was a lot of religious, whatever you want to call it, people on the spiritual path, roaming from town to town, and people would give them food and donate. This is in history pretty accurate for many religions start. So Buddha started on his way. This is just a gist for your viewing pleasure. Yes, by the way, hair is gone. Cut it off. I miss it. But in this hot weather, I'm glad I have short hair. That being said, enough of my ego. So vain. One group that Buddha, future Buddha, King Siddhartha, stumbled upon was Jainism, a religious sect that focuses on suffering. So they will not eat, for example, or sleep in the cold, or be near a hot fire. And they believe the closer you are to suffering may bring enlightenment. I won't go too deep on the philosophy behind that, but Buddha tried this. And if you ever see statues of Buddha very skinny, where you can see his ribs and collarbone, that's usually from that time. So he went into suffering. This rich kid who had the abundance of life, everything, now had nothing in suffering. Rumored to only eat a grain of rice a day. And he almost died. A woman gave him some food when he was about to die. And that generosity touched Buddha. And he realized this was not the correct way. After spending years dedicated to this philosophy, he decided to walk away. And the generosity of a woman to feed him, he realized the food that he got and that nice kindness that that woman gave him meant something. Because he should have said, no, I'm suffering to be enlightened. But it did something to him. So he got up, added dismay to some of his little followers he got and the people in the sect, got up and left. And obviously they didn't like that. And he kept wandering in the pursuit of his original question, why is there suffering? Dedicated years, I don't know, I think it was 6 years, but it was years. Can you imagine dedicating yourself to years to something and just saying, this isn't working, I gotta go? That takes cojones, that takes a lack of pride, that takes a real person on the pursuit of the light, on the pursuit of truth. After many years of different practices, Buddha finally put himself up against a tree, pagoda tree, I believe. And he sat there and said, I will not leave this tree until I get the answer to my question, why is there suffering? And Buddha sat there. He sat there for a while. And eventually, in deep meditation for a long period of time, he realized why there is suffering. And the answer? There's suffering because of desire. Desire for things, desire for women, for man, for people, desire for fame, desire for money. Anytime you have a desire, you are opening yourself up for suffering. And Buddha, becoming enlightened, had great peace. And he realized that the middle path is the way, what he called the middle path. Not the extreme abundance, not the extreme of suffering, but a nice balance down the middle path. You don't need to kill yourself, and you don't need to overindulge. You need to have a nice balance in life to be happy without so much desire for things. So he went around the country and preached what he found out and created a mass group and following and pilgrimed all over India, northern India, and who knows where else. And well, Buddha started the religion, philosophy. Some say it's not a religion, it's a philosophy. I can agree with that. And now there's Buddhism all around the world, spreading here to Southeast Asia, Thailand. Some interesting things about Buddha that the Mush monk has to add his little spin to, to really get the people riled up. I like to study different religions. Don't ever claim to be an expert. I dabble is what I like to call it. I'm just curious. I don't give it the college study. I follow what interests I'm into at the time, and I dive deep that night, that week, that month, and then maybe I move on after that, and maybe I revisit that idea. But one idea that I like, that's probably not gonna be very popular with my Christian followers, is the idea of the missing years of Jesus. Missing years of Jesus. From about 13 to 29, 12 to 30 in the Bible, it does not really say what Jesus was doing. You have him as a young man, he's in a synagogue, he impresses all the rabbis with his knowledge, and then they don't talk about him in some of the most formative years of a person's life. And then he comes back around 30, and we know how that goes, ends up being crucified, put on the cross to die for our sins, the Son of God. Well, some believe, and I lean on this by seeing that Jesus and Buddha say similar things, is that Jesus went to India. And this is not my personal theory, but I did kind of stumble upon this theory after learning about Buddha, after growing up Christian, and realizing that, well, they're saying the same thing, Jesus and Buddha. The kingdom is within, happiness is within, heaven is within, however you want to interpret it. We're all connected. Treat your neighbor like you want to treat yourself. God is in everything, and everything is life. And I was curious about this, so I stumbled upon some theories that Jesus, as a young man, and this comes from India, not a lot of historical evidence, but a lot of rumors in India. Well, that the rumors were that Jesus, as a young man, maybe 13, 14, 15, instead of just working as a carpenter, like most Christians claim, at least in how I grew up, a lot of those people claim that he just was a carpenter with his dad Joseph until he was older, and the Bible recounts his life then. Wasn't doing anything great, was being a kid and probably reading the Bible, or not reading the Bible, but studying. The Bible came later. But in India, they believe there's a theory that Jesus, as a young man, hit the Silk Road. Silk Road was existing at the time, and he traveled through northern and southern India, landing in South India, where he studied with the Hindus. Now, studying with the Hindus, he had a problem with the caste system. Obviously, he was learning a lot. Hinduism obviously has a lot of it's one of the oldest main religions in the world and has a lot of aspects. It seems very different than a lot of religions, but it really is not in the gist. There really is one God, Shiva, could incorporate into anything. But anyways, Jesus had a problem with the caste system. The caste system is levels that you're born into, and you cannot escape it in Hindu culture. They still have it today. Gandhi was a proponent for the caste system, strange enough. The caste system is, if there's different levels, there's a warrior class, the top being the priestly class, the Brahmin, where the ones kind of like the Pope, kind of tell you how it is, talk to God and let you know what's going on. And Jesus had a problem with this. And there was also the untouchables, the bottom class, the working class, and you can never escape this class. Once you're born into it, you're into it. And obviously Jesus had a problem with the Brahmin having control, which makes complete sense if you're a fan of Jesus, which I am. And fearing for his life one night, because I'm sure that ruffled some feathers, he fled in the night because he was going to be murdered. Then Jesus headed north into Buddhist territory of India and went to a monastery. And these Hindus and Buddhists, they recognize Jesus as a wise man, which makes sense to the Bible when it talks about him being recognized by the rabbis of having great knowledge. Well, Hindus and Buddhists were no different. They recognized his great knowledge, as the rumor goes. So, being with the Buddhists in a monastery, which this story originates from, he practiced with them. Apparently ended up in Persia, modern day Iran, Iraq, somewhere around there. They were worshiping the sun god at the time, the Persians. Jesus spoke out against that. And once again, he was threatened to be killed, ends up in Israel. So Jesus was a rebel, really ruffling some feathers there. So if any religious leader or Christian tells you don't ruffle feathers and just obey what everyone says, maybe tell them about Jesus. So, being against the Persian sun god, once again, his life was in danger, so he fled, ending back into his home area, the Middle East, and Jerusalem, and being crucified. Now, where does this story originate from? I believe late 1800s, early 1900s, 1890, 1920, something like that. An explorer, European explorer, ended up at this monastery. And he was there exploring as explorers do. And he went to leave and he fell off a horse, or somebody broke his leg on his way out. They brought him back to take care of him. And while he was bedridden, the Buddhists have notorious scrolls in history that they keep locked up in their monasteries. And they read some of them to him. And one was about Isa, meaning Jesus, and about him studying there and returning to his homeland to be murdered. The explorer, recognizing the connection with his name to the name of Jesus in translation, ran with it, wrote a book, and immediately, as many people are that say something different than the mainstream, was immediately outcasted and said that he made it up and all this stuff. So the British sent, he was British, I believe, the British sent some people to this monastery to investigate. And when they got there, the Buddhists said they had no idea what they were talking about. Weird that the Buddhists would tell the Royal Army or whatever, the British people that went there, that they had nothing. British are notorious for taking things and taking it home. One of the funniest things is, why are the pyramids still in Egypt? Because it was too heavy for the British to lift. So that ended that. What kind of? Two spiritual women, I believe they were Buddhists, also European, traveled down to and happened to end up at this monastery. And while we were there, not knowing much about this story, they heard the same scripture were written or were read to them as the man who found out before. I'll put his picture up here and his name and his book. And they heard the same exact story about the famous Isa. So the connection between Jesus and Buddha has always interested me. Now, I understand there's no historical evidence. It's just hearsay. A lot of those sacred texts are locked up until the Dalai Lama is allowed to visit. It's not really talked about a lot, but if you're in India, you'll see a cave, the cave of Jesus. You'll see different sites that have Jesus's name. Hinduism, Buddhism, those cultures always respect the wisest of the wise men and enshrine them. And they did the same for Jesus. Now to go even further, in Kashmir, there is a tomb of Jesus. They believe that he wasn't crucified, that he somehow escaped, or a friend took his place instead, or he wasn't really dead because his legs weren't broken. If you know the crucifixion story, they usually break the legs and that's like the final straw to kill you. His were not broken because they believed he was already dead. Some interesting things there in the story. And then they put him in the tomb and believe there was another passage out of the tomb or something like that. It's all hearsay. But they do have the tomb of Jesus in Kashmir. Look it up, it's interesting. And that kind of plays into Islam and their belief in the crucifixion a little bit. There's a connection there, so make sure you look into that. And one day I'll go to India and really go into the Jesus-Buddha connection because it draws me. It just fascinates me, and I feel a push and a pull to that, to go to India and kind of look around. I don't think I'm going to find much because there's been documentaries made where they looked for that, but yeah. Jesus and Buddha connection. Very interesting. So just met a fellow American with Thai roots, and he just said he heard people talking and kind of explained. He was in the traditional warrior outfit, and he said that the Burmese attacked this place trying to find gold. That gold was here, so the Burmese came and kind of destroyed some of this area. So there was a Burmese conflict. Sorry, my phone's overheating. But so a lot of these places are destroyed also because of the Burmese, at least in this area. Why is there an American flag here? Huh? Well, apparently they did some good. Apparently there was flooding in 2011, so the U.S. Embassy here paid to help preserve this area during the floodings of 2011. Go America! Well, the locals here are dressed probably like representing the old kingdom that built this area. It's pretty cool. Whoa, lots of tugboats. I don't know why that got me excited, but huge tugboats, like a train of tugboats going by. But yeah, so a lot of people are in the traditional dress, and it's absolutely cool. Like the guys got swords, the women are absolutely beautiful with their outfit, their custom outfit. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Just a nice spot to go, get lost, get out of Bangkok, kind of escape the city for a while. Super nice area. Yeah, a lot less tourists in this spot than the last one. I think I'm gonna stand by and just stand there and be like, yeah, I did this. I'm American. Just shake hands. It's not very often we could do that traveling. Usually people hate Americans, but it'll be something to do. I always get embarrassed when I'm talking to the phone and people walk by and stare at me.